Shocked by 14 facts about Singapore, the most notorious red light district, caning punishment. Hello everyone. Singapore is currently one of the smallest and most densely populated countries in the world, ranking 176th out of a total of 195 countries. It has a land area of 725.7 square kilometers, excluding maritime areas, and a population of approximately 5.92 million people, according to statistics from 2022. Despite its small size, Singapore is known as one of the wealthiest countries in the world, and one of the 4 Asian tigers today. In 2023, the nation's GDP is approximately $501.43 billion, with a per capita GDP of $84,701. Additionally, Singapore is renowned for its remarkable cleanliness and beauty. There are also many unique aspects of this island nation that you may not be aware of. So, let's explore them in detail in this video. 1. A country that lacks administrative divisions. Singapore, officially known as the Republic of Singapore, is a sovereign island nation located in Southeast Asia. This island country lies off the southern coast of the Malay Peninsula, approximately 137 kilometers north of the equator, situated along one of the busiest shipping routes in the world, bordered to the south by the Singapore Strait and to the north by the Johor Strait. In the past, Singapore separated from Malaysia and became an independent nation on August 9, 1965. Today, Singapore is governed as a unitary state, without any provinces or states. Instead, the country is divided into 5 communities based on urban planning, each overseen by its respective Community Development Council. The Community Development Council's role is to initiate, plan, and oversee community programs aimed at enhancing community cohesion and social connectivity within the local area. Singapore's electoral boundaries are quite flexible and are assessed before each general election. Singapore is one of the few countries in the world that doesn't have a capital. This island nation serves as both a country and a city. 2. The Lion City. Yet there are no lions. Singapore has long been known as the Lion City, which is also its national symbol. 2 of the most popular tourist spots in the country right now are Merlion Park, which features the statue of a lion's head and a fish's body, and the enormous Sphinx statue on Sentosa Island. Interestingly, aside from a few specimens at the zoo, this island nation has no wild lions, but is still known by this name. The name Singapore comes from Singapura in Malay, which means the city of lions. Many theories have emerged regarding the origin of this name, with the most commonly accepted explanation being rooted in the Malay chronicle known as Sejarah Melayu. Specifically, Prince Sang Nila Utama of Srivijaya once got shipwrecked and ended up living here. While hunting on the island, he spotted a strange creature and believed it to be a lion, a symbol of good fortune, so he named the island Singapura. In 1299, Sang Nila Utama founded the Kingdom of Singapore, but by 1398, it had fallen into decline. 3. The country is expanding its territory by importing sand from abroad. When considering the moment Singapore became an independent nation, the country was significantly smaller than it is today, with an area of just 581.5 square kilometers at that time. However, its territory has since expanded to include a main diamond-shaped island and around 60 smaller islands, totaling about 725.7 kilometers. Additionally, most of Singapore's territory is situated at a height of no more than 15 meters above sea level. As a result, this nation is highly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, particularly the rising sea levels. This poses a significant threat to the country's long-term survival. The government of this island nation estimates that it will need to invest $100 billion over the next century to tackle this issue. And in 2020, they allocated $5 billion towards coastal protection and flood management. As a result, in just about half a century, the territory of this country has expanded by nearly 25%. If you look at this map, you will notice a striking difference in its territory. A significant amount of Singapore's key infrastructure, including skyscrapers, oil refineries, seaports, and even its airport, is now situated on reclaimed land. In order to expand its territory, Singapore has had to import hundreds of millions of tons of sand and rock from other countries, primarily from its regional neighbors such as Malaysia, Indonesia, Cambodia, and Vietnam. In 2018 alone, Singapore imported a staggering 38.6 million tons of sand from various countries. However, as sources of river and sea sand have become increasingly scarce, countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and Vietnam began to restrict their sand exports to Singapore in 1997, 2007, and 2009, respectively. Nevertheless, this has not quelled Singapore's ambition to expand its land. Beginning in November 2016, Singapore adopted a different method of land reclamation to lessen its reliance on sand. This involves developing reclaimed land. They utilize soil and sand from underground construction projects to facilitate offshore reclamation efforts, particularly for the Superport project being built in the southwestern part of the country. The majority of materials used for this project are earth and rocks sourced from construction activities. 4. A unique strategy of orchid diplomacy. Singapore is renowned for its diverse array of both natural and hybrid orchids, and it also has an intriguing foreign policy known as orchid diplomacy. This policy, initiated by the Lion City in 1956, serves as a gesture of friendship designed to foster goodwill among nations. Over the years, dignitaries, royal family members, and celebrities visiting Singapore have been honored with unique orchid hybrids that are cultivated and named in their honor. These hybrids are all grown at the Singapore National Orchid Garden. It typically takes scientists here about 5 years to create these flowers. That's why they are so unique and rare, symbolizing Singapore's appreciation for these influential figures. One example is the Dendrobium orchid, named after Barack and Michelle Obama, which was specially grown as a gift for the former President of the United States, Barack Obama. It features cream and yellow pistils along with twisted petals. Additionally, General Secretary and President of China, Xi Jinping, and his wife are associated with a pink orchid accented with red dots, known as Papilionanda Xi Jinping, Peng Liyuan. 5. Christmas Island used to be part of Singapore. Christmas Island, also known as the Cocos, Keeling Islands, is an external territory of Australia situated in the Indian Ocean. The island is relatively small, covering just 135 square kilometers, yet 65% of its area is designated as a national park. The population is approximately 1,700, with the Chinese community being the largest. Additionally, there are communities of Malays and Caucasian Australians residing on the island. However, few are aware that this island has a turbulent historical background and was once part of the nation of Singapore. On December 25, 1643, Captain William Miners aboard the East India Company's ship, the Royal Mary, discovered the island during his voyage and named it Christmas Island. The island was initially uninhabited, but this changed after Scottish naturalist John Murray discovered a significant amount of phosphate there during his expedition to the Dutch East Indies, now known as Indonesia. By 1888, the United Kingdom had annexed this island into its territory at the urging of John Murray. Simultaneously, George Clunes Ross, the owner of the nearby Cocos Islands, sent a team of workers to settle on the island to intervene in its resource exploitation. This dispute resulted in 1891, when the British Crown granted John Murray and George Clunes Ross joint leasing rights to the island for phosphate extraction. This led to the establishment of the Christmas Island Phosphate Company, CIPCO. However, this island continues to be managed by the United Kingdom through the settlement in the Strait. During World War II, its important strategic location and rich phosphate mines made Christmas Island a target for Japanese attacks. and it was quickly occupied. After the war, the settlement was dissolved, and Singapore became a distinct colony of the United Kingdom. Subsequently, Christmas Island and the Cocos Islands were managed and ruled as part of the Singapore colony. By 1958, Christmas Island had become a territory of Australia, following a transfer of £2.33 million that the Australian government paid to Singapore as compensation for lost phosphate revenue. Since then, Christmas Island has been part of the land of kangaroos. 6. The world's most powerful passport. On July 19, 2023, the London-based immigration consulting firm Henley & Partners released its passport ranking index for countries and territories worldwide. According to this ranking, Japan, which had the world's most powerful passport for the past 5 years, has now given up its top position to Singapore. This Southeast Asian island nation has emerged as the country with the most powerful passport in the world, allowing its citizens visa-free access to 192 out of 227 destinations globally. Experts say that by implementing open visa policies, Singapore has forged valuable relationships with other nations, resulting in the achievement of visa exemption rights. 7. Singapore's most infamous red light district. Geylang is Singapore's most famous red light district, legally allowed to operate but closely monitored by the authorities. Here, brothels are located right alongside hotels, sidewalk cafes, community centers, and even temples. To create a legal zone for this activity, the Singapore government allows brothels to operate in certain areas. The licensing process for brothels is managed by police, but is kept under wraps, and the number of licensed establishments is not made public. However, based on a list on a website where customers share pricing information and service quality ratings in 2017, it is estimated that the number of licensed brothels here ranges from 80 to 90 establishments. The brothels in Geylang have very clear rules, and most of them only hire florists from Malaysia, Thailand, and China between the ages of 21 and 27. What's unique is that the sex workers in Geylang are provided with a yellow card that includes their name, photo, and the results of regular HIV and other sexually transmitted disease tests. Moreover, they have the right to refuse service if customers do not use protective measures. 8. Be the proud owner of the world's first and only night zoo. The night safari is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Singapore. Unlike many other places, it is the only zoo in the world that opens to visitors at night, specifically from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. daily. And this very aspect gives it a unique charm and sets it apart from other locations. The night safari opened on May 26, 1994, and covers an area of 35 hectares. The construction of this zoo cost 63 million Singapore dollars, which is about 43.5 million US dollars at today's exchange rates. It is now home to many rare animal species, including Asian lions, African elephants, rhinoceroses, and giraffes, and they mostly roam in an environment that is nearly natural, protected by a safety net system. To fully explore night safari, visitors must travel on electric vehicles and be guided by the zoo staff. While the 40-minute exploration journey may not be long, it provides visitors with a panoramic view of the incredibly diverse world of animals, all of which come from various geographical regions around the globe. 9. The world's most remarkable art of waste management. To conserve land space and reduce landfill waste, Singapore has implemented a variety of measures. These include investing in waste-to-energy technology, enhancing waste sorting at the source, imposing strict penalties for environmental pollution, promoting recycling, and raising public awareness about environmental protection. Since 1979, Singapore has constructed its first waste-to-energy plant in Ulu Pandan. Following that, the country built 4 more plants located at Senoko, Tuas, Tuas South, and Keppel Segers Tuas. This waste incineration process allows Singapore to reduce up to 90% of the solid waste that would otherwise need to be landfilled while also meeting nearly 3% of the nation's electricity needs, particularly given the growing constraints on land availability. However, there still remains a significant amount of non-burnable waste, such as sludge, shipyard debris, construction materials, and ash from incineration plants that must be buried. In response to this issue, the Singapore government decided to build an offshore landfill, exemplified by the one on Semakau Island. Here, the buried waste primarily consists of ash and non-burnable refuse. After the ash is placed in the designated cells, it is topped with soil to attract various insects and birds, which serve as food for the earth. This initiative has been remarkably successful, as Semakau is now renowned as one of Singapore's top birdwatching locations. 10. Home to the world's tallest indoor waterfall. Aside from its famous tourist attractions, travel enthusiasts surely know about the massive, Instagram-worthy waterfall inside the renowned jewel Changi Airport. This breathtaking waterfall, called Rain Vortex, stands at nearly 40 meters tall, making it the tallest indoor waterfall in the world. Rain Vortex is surrounded by a lush ecosystem featuring 2,500 trees and 100,000 shrubs, creating the feeling of stepping into a miniature tropical rainforest. As night falls, the waterfall becomes even more mesmerizing with its dazzling, color-changing lights. It's safe to say that Changi Airport, along with the spectacular Rain Vortex, has played a key role in attracting more tourists to Singapore. At the same time, these two architectural wonders have set a new benchmark for airports of the future. 11. Car prices are very high. Cars are a popular form of transportation worldwide. However, there are still many places where access to them is restricted, particularly in Singapore. One of the main reasons for this is the country's commitment to maintaining a clean and green environment. As a result, to limit the use of personal vehicles, the Singaporean government has implemented various taxes and fees, making it more challenging for residents to own cars. This is also why cars are heavily taxed, making their prices some of the highest in the world. For instance, the 2022 Honda Civic is currently priced at around $163,999 in Singapore. Overall, there are 6 main factors that determine the price of a new car in Singapore: the actual value of the car, the additional registration fee, the excise tax, the certificate of entitlement, COE, the old vehicle emission surcharge, and the profits of dealers. The certificate of entitlement, or COE, is a key measure used by Singapore to limit the number of personal vehicles on the road, implemented since the mid-1990s. This cost is incurred before citizens purchase a vehicle. Each COE serves as a certificate of circulation and is valid for 10 years, which means that a car will be registered and legally used in Singapore for 10 years. To restrict the actual number of vehicles on the road, the number of new COE cards issued each year will be equal to or just slightly above the number of vehicles that have lost their entitlement that year due to expired COEs or failure to meet emission standards. Notably, the cost of a COE isn't fixed. It's auctioned off annually. In the auction held on June 22, 2022, there were 2,889 bidding applications, but only 2,012 COEs were available. On that day, the price of an open COE, which can be used to purchase any type of vehicle, soared to 104,400 Singapore dollars, equivalent to 78,846 US dollars. This represents the highest price since December 1994, when this type of COE previously reached 110,500 Singapore dollars. In summary, the market price of a car is determined by its actual value along with various additional expenses that the dealer incurs. Therefore, it's not surprising that a car model in this island nation can be priced at 4 to 5 times its actual value. 12. Whipping is a severe punishment. Singapore is well known for its strict laws, where even minor offenses like eating and drinking on public transport can result in hefty fines of up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Among the various punishments enforced in this island nation, corporal punishment is undoubtedly the one that instills the most fear in many people, and it remains a highly controversial practice today. Under Singapore law, caning is often an additional punishment that accompanies prison sentences for offenders, applicable to over 40 different offenses. The process of administering caning usually involves the offender stripping down completely, being securely bound at the wrists and ankles to a wooden frame in a face-down position, with a pad placed over the upper body to prevent injury. Once the offender is restrained and unable to move, the supervisor will give a signal to proceed with the caning. Hitters are healthy people who are trained to be able to perform blows that are as painful as possible but do not leave permanent disability. Some descriptions say that the whip can reach a speed of 160 kilometers per hour, forming strong blows to the buttocks of the person who is punished. Each whip will be done about 30 seconds apart, and this implementation, in addition to officials, is required to have the presence of medical staff. Caning is a form of punishment that has been used in Singapore since its days as a British colony. While many other countries have abolished such practices, Singapore continues to uphold this punishment to serve as a deterrent for its citizens. The authorities in Singapore argue that monetary fines are ineffective because some individuals are willing to pay the fines and even serve jail time after committing crimes. In contrast, the experience of caning instills fear and shame in those punished, making them less likely to reoffend. This approach also serves to deter others from pursuing criminal activities. 13. Chewing gum is not allowed. One of the rather unique laws in this island nation is the prohibition against chewing gum in public places. While it may seem odd, and can even be amusing to those who hear about it for the first time, it's important to recognize that this law has played a significant role in shaping Singapore into the clean and beautiful city it is today. In early 1983, the National Development Ministry proposed that the Singapore government ban the use of chewing gum by its citizens as part of a campaign to beautify the city. The reasoning was that chewing gum and stuffing the leftovers into keyholes, mailboxes, elevator buttons, and walls would detract from the city's appearance and the country's sense of civility. Since 1992, Singaporeans have been prohibited from using, distributing, and selling all types of chewing gum. This ban was only slightly relaxed in 2004. Even now, chewing gum can only be purchased at pharmacies. Customers must provide their full name and ID when buying, or else they risk imprisonment for up to 2 years and a fine of 3,000 Singapore dollars, equivalent to about $2,266 for violating these regulations. If someone deliberately brings more than allowed, they could be charged with smuggling, facing a penalty of up to 1 year in prison and a fine of up to 5,500 Singapore dollars. This is equivalent to $4,154. 14. Crocodile foot soup is not for the faint of heart. One of the most bizarre yet uniquely delicious dishes in the Lion City of Singapore is crocodile feet soup. The main ingredient of the dish is alligator legs, which are marinated with a variety of spices and flavorings. However, if you can get past its rough and somewhat intimidating appearance, the flavor is said to be as delicious as chicken, and it doesn't have any unpleasant odor. Many people believe that eating reptiles such as crocodiles is very beneficial for health, as it improves metabolism, boosts immunity, and enhances sexual desire. Perhaps that's why crocodile foot soup is so popular among the locals. For international tourists, this is certainly quite a challenge for those trying this special dish for the first time. Here are the top 14 fascinating facts about Singapore, the richest island nation in Southeast Asia. Goodbye, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in the next videos.